Good afternoon. So there is a disclaimer on this PPT saying that all the pictures in this PPT are copyrighted material. So use it with your own intelligence. Another disclaimer which I wanted to tell is all the topic which, if at all, sounds anti of anything, that is merely coincidental. Any political reference is pun intended. And if you consider any of the matter is deliberate and intentional, I would say it is purely based to your attribute of knowledge, the source of knowledge which you kind of attribute yourself to. So this is the march, the first march of 1975 or 1917, International Working Women's Day. I would like to tell two sentences on Women's Day. Whatever we celebrate today as Women's Day is derived from International Working Women's Day because they fought their right for bread and roses. Bread being the freedom to have economic and political rights, rose being the freedom to have social and cultural rights. That is very much essential in a country like in India, especially where household work is not considered as work. The theme, what we women fight for hasn't changed much from centuries. It's the same thing. Even the theme campaign theme for 2020 is each for, equal for. So we still fight for the same superstitions, fight against the same superstitions, same beliefs, same religion, which kind of ever refuses to treat us as humans sometimes. This is a quote from a woman who fought in the 19th century for the rights of women. Just look at her thought. I can vouch for this even 5 years down the line. I can carry the same PPT and talk about the same subject. Still 100% of it would be relevant. That's a sad thing. Only the scale at which these kind of repression or harassment of women has come down, but by and large, it still remains the same for common women. The people in this room or people whom we associate with may not have faced this kind of situation in their life, but we all know that somewhere in and around us, such a world exists, and we cannot deny that. We have reduced International Women's Day into Rose Day or Cupcake Day. Unfortunately, the women's rights are much more than that. These are the 4 women whom I can think of, and there are several hundreds of others who really fought against the rights. And if it always questioned the societal construction of that time. It did not kind of come out of the blue. What they saw in their surroundings, they fought against that. And it was merely for survival. It might be for widow remarriage, it might be for merely education, it might be against child marriage, or even just having a dignified life in the society, or even equal rights to property. These were all believed to be legal. It was all religiously allowed. Even today, there are certain mindsets which think that this is questioning the culture, civilization, and everything around it. The point being, if the culture or the civilization doesn't treat me equal, it doesn't kind of ensure fairness and justice for me as a human being, why would I respect that civilization or culture? Such culture and civilization needs to be questioned, and it was questioned. That's why we see some progress in the society. So today we will dwell upon certain superstitions which is very prevalent in our society, which really impacts or affects day-to-day lives of our women in the country. And we will see the paradoxes we live in. We think that symbolism is the reality, which is not. whenever there is a question on women or any rights for women or freedom for women, we have been told, look, we have had a female prime minister, female president, but they don't kind of represent the majority of women, right? It's a truth in our country that women face huge problem because of Manglik, being a Manglik. Many people spoke about Mars. We have women who actually contributed a lot to our Mars mission, Mangalayan. But can we vouch for sure that none of the women on this picture haven't faced the situation on the second side? We cannot. Because sometimes it might be very true that in our country, there is no relationship between science and scientific temper. A person who has scored 100 out of 100 in biology might go back to home and practice untouchability during periods. That's a truth in our society. What's further saddening is there is a society which uses technology science, which promotes such kind of beliefs. Just imagine, there is a manglikmatrimony.com, which is serving the needs of such superstitious believers. So, it is very essential for our country to develop that scientific temper, which was envisioned back almost 70 years back in this country, or which was spoken even during the time of Akka Mahadevi of 12th century, who stood for herself, who said that even women need to have their own freedom, freedom of thought, freedom to live, freedom to express. But it is a fact which we are fighting even in 21st century, and it would be carried on for 22nd century too, looking at the surroundings. Well, luckily, anything in this picture is not at blame to Nehru. And here is a picture. I'm sure something in this picture can be blamed to Nehru because he is the one who has created LIC. Well, we have females in each and every field today, and that's a very proud thing to all of us as a nation. In fact, I recently saw a data which says that India has the highest number of women in science and technology. Worldwide, we are one of the top 10. But we have a largest insurance organization, which is a government organization, which says, look, just make a policy for marriage. Why is it only for women? Why not for men? Have you seen any of the fathers coming and saying that we are saving money for the marriage of our son? No, it doesn't happen. It sounds very irrelevant, but just look at the thought process in our society. And as a woman, especially coming from legal background, when I see these disparities, it makes me question, why is that so? We take it very lightly, thinking that it doesn't have any impact, but it has a lot of psychological impact. It has a lot of sociological impact, which we never realize. We should also acknowledge and recognize the fact that India is a country which has equal number of women population. Unless you uplift them, this country cannot be a superpower. Forget about 2020. Even after, 200 years, it won't be. If at all you leave these people kind of harassed or kind of denying them the equal opportunities in this country. We are a country where there are numerous women goddesses. I'm sure, during the Durga Puja, you see thousands of pandals in this country where we regard women as gods. Even if at all I have to go by the ancient philosophy which says, Yatra Narestu Pujante Ramante Tatra Devataha, means where women reside, gods dwell. The same person who also quoted Na Stri Swatantrim Arhati, in the sense women doesn't deserve freedom. So that is the paradox we live in. We glorify that, look, we are a country which kind of worship goddess. At the same time, we are a country which hunts women in the name of witches. We have nearly 100 women every year who are killed merely under a suspicion of being possessed by something. And the data says the numbers are much more because the police do not even register these cases as witch hunting killing. And this is prevalent in all the big states, UP, Bihar, Assam. In fact, the last decade, we have lost nearly 3,000 women for the killings which was done in the name of witch hunting. We do have world-class athletes in this country, and that's a very good thing to know, as well as it's a good feeling for all of us. Also understand, we have 500 women dying for every 1 lakh woman during delivery. And in the developing countries, that death is nearly 20. Just imagine 20 to 500, and that's a reality in India. In fact, it is also said, irrespective of the life expectancy of women in general, which is generally much more than men, in India, women suffer from malnutrition. And this is kind of evidenced in day-to-day life. You know, the practices, the social practices which we have, the superstitions which we have. There was a data survey which reported that the food which is being distributed by the government for female students have been taken by the family and fed to male members in the society, male members in the family. And there are certain superstitions with respect to even taking iron tablets by pregnant women, saying that you might just give birth to dark kids or females. And that's very much relevant, and that's the reason we have a lot of infant mortality, which is attributed to malnutrition among women. Well, this is something which our Prime Minister may not endorse because, you know, he doesn't believe in Karwa Chauth and all this stuff. Well, we are a country wherein women are told from birth that you have to regard your husband as an eternal partner for yourself, even in 7 lives. At the same time, we are a country which witnesses the highest number of dowry deaths, highest number of domestic violence, and marital rape. You don't even talk. We are not even ready to acknowledge the fact that there is an existence of marital rape in this country. Because consent is just, it doesn't exist for women. Yeah? Even most educated women, they kind of consider, there is this factor of Stockholm Syndrome saying that husband is entitled to do whatever he wants to do. This is prevalent even in the most educated women. It is not for, whenever I'm just giving certain examples, don't think that this is relevant only among illiterate women. No. Even you just go to the family court once and you see the kind of abuses, violences women face in our country. Dowry deaths is considered as normal. In fact, I remember one of the case law wherein a woman's body was chopped into 48 pieces and was stranded in a train. And that particular case came to the court, and the prosecution, they just wanted to regard that death as the rarest of the rare case in the history of India. Whereas the court pronounced that killing women in India is not rarest of the rare. That's how we have become resistant, or kind of, we take dowry deaths as another news, which is just, like somebody is just dying. We can reach space, but not religious places, Not that I kind of vouch going to religious places. In fact, I am of the strong opinion that women should have been the first one to reject all the religions, because none of the religions have been created by women for the welfare of women. You give me a religion, I'll tell you what is there which is against women. But if at all woman wants, I also acknowledge the fact that there are women who are believers, and I respect their belief. But do you actually respect their belief? If at all somebody is wanting to go to a religious place, just because she is a woman, you are denying her entry to that place. And this is not only for one particular religion. This is across the religion, across the castes, across the countries. It is happening all over. And religious discrimination against women is in various ways. And we are in 21st century wherein we are saying there is a right to equality which is given in the constitution, which was written almost 75 years, 76 years back, and we are still fighting that our women need to enter the religious places. And the irony of it is, when this judgment came, when the Supreme Court allowed women's entry to the temple, there was a woman judge who voted against that, saying that women shouldn't be allowed inside the religious places. So such is the conditioning, such is the programming of mind in this country. Anything can be passed on, anything can be kind of made relevant in the name of practices, culture, civilization, religion, and everything. We can touch the highest peaks, but can't touch pickle. And again, this is relevant, this is practiced across all the religions except Sikhism. It is relevant in Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, wherein a menstruating woman is considered as impure. And they give you a lot of scientific reasons. So whatever they call it as scientific reasons, like in our country, everything is passed on as some scientific reason, which is nothing but bull crap. But anyways, that's truth in our country, right? And just imagine, do you recognize this woman who has touched the Everest? It's Bachendri Pal. An Everest expedition takes 60 days to 90 days, and a woman cannot stop her menstruation or period cycle during that time. If she can just climb that peak, because I have heard a lot of arguments saying that women are weak, they can't even climb 18 steps. 18 steps for women sounds like a giant leap for womankind. So, but that's a reality, right? Anyways, in fact, this particular superstition is still instilled there. I have had a friend who just once asked, Suchitra, I have to just travel to this particular place, and this particular place where my friends are going has a temple. I might get my period during that time. What would you advise? So I said, I have no advice regarding visiting temple. So, but what if I get my periods during visiting of this temple? So I said, I never even paid attention whether I have had periods or not when I visit a temple. The only advice I would say is, if at all you are attending the temple on Sunday, if you get fever on Monday, don't think that it is because of that. It might be because of the tension which you have had. And many times it happens. Anyways, and I have family members who have been curbed from going to the school, getting educated. There are many women in my family who have been just kind of stopped. They have stopped their education after 6th standard only because they got their period during that time, and after that it was not allowed. We can be beauty symbols as well as mutilated. This is again backed by religion, religious construction or societal construction. Female genital mutilation is a menace which is prevalent in Bora community, which is Muslim community, which is there in Maharashtra and some parts of India. They cut the clitoris of female child who is below 7 years old. And you can see a lot of literature around this, which is banned in the country, but there is a voice which is going around saying that this needs to be allowed for the reason that this is backed by religion or culture. And this particular mutilation has a lot of psychological impacts on the kid. Just imagine a kid going through this kind of trauma at the age of 7. And there are surveys which says that they go through the same trauma as a rape victim goes through, especially during that mutilation. Well, we need female gynecologists and we kill female fetuses. That's the truth in our country, and in fact 60,000 women or females are missing from India only because of killing of female fetuses. We are not even allowed to be born, forget about living. And that's a reality. And again, such beliefs are promoted even by the advanced technology. You can just decide, or you can gauge, or you can see the gender of the kid and decide to kind of abort it. We have women leaders, and we have a fascination for male child. This is very much possible for those women also. That might be true in those women's cases also, because the society asks, or religion asks, you will not get moksha unless you have a male child. And all the religious rituals or practices are kind of made to ensure that there is a requirement of a male to perform those kind of rituals. And there is an aspiration for a male child among a lot of people, even the educated females. In fact, we have had a BBC article which said that the famous Patanjali, they just came up with a medicine which ensured that you will get a baby boy if at all you just consume this medicine. And whatever is being sold, but they cater to such aspirations in the society, right? Patanjali wouldn't have come out with a medicine saying that if at all you take this, you will get a female child. No, they won't. What society aspires, they cater to that, and they promote such thing. Well, sadly, we are the persecutors, also the victims. Many a times, if at all you have seen a lot of these dowry harassment cases, domestic violence cases, and a lot of these superstitions are carried on by females as well. As I mentioned, there are women who have been stopped from going to school in my family. The same women, when it came to the next generation women, they decided to continue the same practice without even questioning. Why? Because they think that that's how the society functions. So, we are the victims, we are the persecutors. The change which we need to have today is we need to be the saviors. We need to have to break that chain. So, we ask for equal pay, equal opportunity, and equal dignity, and there is an assurance of usage of social media by the Prime Minister. Most of these concerns for women and welfare of women is merely an advertisement in this country. I just read a report which said that from 2016 till 2020, 95% of the budget which was allocated for Beti Bachao has been used only for the advertisements. That's a sad reality. I'm not just quoting out of the blue. This is a sad reality in this country. And just portraying 7 women on Women's Day won't serve the society. Rather, you speak about those who are fostering such superstitions in the country. You speak against those Swamijis who say that menstruating women cannot cook. You speak against those who are saying that women should be bound, only should be homebound. You speak against such ideologies. You speak against such superstitions. You make scientific temper a need, a thought, kind of starting from our education. Do we do that? I was surprised to see that in 2019, there was actually a campaign for promotion of scientific temper in India by none other than our Smriti Irani and another RSS dialogue, who say that women should be just kept inside the home. Anyways, so at least a genuine effort has to be made in this regard. I know that I have stated a lot of problems. If at all you ask me, do you have a solution? The solution is only this. Whenever you come across, before that, I would like to state this particular statement by Ram Punyani, who says that marginalization of women through religious hierarchies in society is largely responsible for several irrational acts justified by means that are totally unscientific in nature. Discourage such irrational hierarchies in society to propagate scientific temper in society. So, women of the past have fought for us, and thanks to those women, I should say that I'm just standing on the shoulders of those giants, that I have an opportunity to talk in front of all of you today. Probably 100 years before, this would have been a truth. So in that way, we have definitely made the progress, but this is not enough, you know. You can't just say that, look, we have eradicated sati, just be happy with that. Oh my God, thank God you have eradicated sati, thank you. But that is not what women want. We need much more than that. If at all you think that that is kind of being very ambitious, yes, we are. If at all just asking for a dignified place in the society, that is very much required. Women of the past have fought for that. We need to fight for that today. So, when I say just women, I kind of, as I mentioned in the beginning, men and women who have similar thoughts. Okay, it is not just gender difference. So whenever you see something of that sort, just question, criticize, and that's how we conquer such superstitions. There's no other way to kind of eradicate those superstitions. Yes, some of the superstitions can be curbed by law, but in spite of having a law from 1892, we have had instances of sati even in 1980s. Law won't do its work. We have a law against superstitions as well. But you know, like I just recently saw women burying their physically handicapped kids under the mud during solar eclipse. We have a anti-superstition law. But you know, like if at all we don't make an active effort, even law will not serve its purpose. You know, that law will not yield the fruit. So whenever you come across such thing, just question, criticize, and that's how you conquer these superstitions. And I would like to read a famous quote. The pioneer of scientific temper in India, that is Jawaharlal Nehru, who said that it's science and science alone. I would like to add science along with fostering of scientific temper that can solve the problems of hunger, poverty, of insanitation, of illiteracy, superstition, deadening customs and traditions, of vast resources running to waste of a rich country inhabited by starving people. That's why we need scientific temper in India. Thank you.
Neurons English is your one-stop free thinking channel. Subscribe now and get instant alerts on videos from Essence Global.